So we've got a deep Texas connection, Luke. It was, I remember back when I was coming to church here, I'd been coming here I think for about a year, and my brother was visiting. He came to church and he saw you and was like, Luke, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that day when he came in and he was like...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, and knowing Brady is like, it's ironic that we end up finding the exact same church and with very, very similar Texas backgrounds. We have the most simple reason we moved to New York is Jewel, my wife, got into Columbia for business school, and really she just wanted to go to New York, and she applied to NYU in Columbia. But
did you ever envision that y'all were going to end up here? Like, was she looking at other schools outside of Columbia?
No. I mean, we knew we were going to move to New York when she started applying to schools.
Yeah.
Because it's the only two places she applied.
Got it.
But yeah, I missed the whole 20s in New York and coming here early 30s.
Yeah.
Everyone we know from Texas has apparently left. And so it's been kind of nice to find a new community, through Good Shepherd doing this. But when did you get up here?
For me, I was an advertising major, so I always knew when I took my trip senior year, we did an advertising trip to visit a bunch of creative agencies in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember walking into all these different agencies and thinking like, wow, I wonder what it would be like if I lived in New York. And
yeah.
So honestly, I planted a seed. I told pretty much everyone I knew in my community that I was moving to New York. However, I didn't exactly know like how I was going to bring that to life. I didn't have an apartment. I had to find a job. But I did have a connection because my brother had lived here for a few years. He was in finance and graduated and came straight to New York. So I had a little bit of a cushion. So I moved to New York. And
so you came right out of school?
Right out of school. I actually crashed on my brother's couch for about 3 weeks before his wife nearly kicked me out of the apartment because it was like the honeymoon phase right after they had gotten married. And he helped me get a job as quickly as he possibly could. He connected me to one of his friends, and I've been here for 10 years. So I just celebrated my decade anniversary. So
you're very legit. Like,
yeah, I'm an official New Yorker.
Yeah. You've hit the 10-year mark. I'm sitting like a year and a half, like still stuck with the subway. Working from home in New York makes me feel like I'm not a New Yorker. I'm like,
because you've been working from home the whole time you've been living here. Because it's been post-COVID.
I'm post-COVID, and I've a company back in Texas, so I'm kind of back and forth.
I was kind of at this point in my life where I just moved to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I need to find a new church community. I opened my window, looked across the street.
So yours was literally just because it was here.
I live across the street from the church, but it really wasn't that. Actually, what ultimately brought me to Good Shepherd was I got a text from one of my really dearest friends who I really look up to within the church community, and he had messaged me and he was like, Brittany, I'm trying out Good Shepherd. It's the church across the street from you.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point I didn't even know the church was called Good Shepherd. I really didn't know much about the community. I just moved here. All I knew is that I could hear the music if I opened my window, and I could see Good Shepherd across the street and the community and people gathering on Sunday. And there was, always stuff going on throughout the week and, groups meeting. And so anyways, I went and sealed the deal for me. Literally the day I left after going to church there, I was like, this is the church. This is where I'm going to from here on out.
Yeah. And you immediately got involved.
So that's always kind of been my character.
Just MO, just as soon as you joined
MO.
a church, you're like, all right, great.
I joined. There was an orientation meeting
for
the children's ministry.
Yeah.
So I immediately started getting involved with the ministry. I immediately, raised my hand and was like, I'd love to do prayers with the people. Any opportunity for me to get up and get involved and talk and help and create the community, greet people as they're coming in. Which, is my natural MO. I talk to people even if I'm not a greeter for that day. So, but I just like to make people feel at home. And, I think it's kind of rare. You don't really realize. But a lot of the people that are coming to church, yes, I've been coming for a long time. But, for a lot of people, it's their first time or it's a new face. I've never seen them before. Mm-hmm. So I just immediately want to understand, like, what's your background? Where'd you come from?
Yeah.
Why are you here? How'd you find out about us? So being able to volunteer and get involved with the church is fun in that way. But how did you find Good Shepherd? What brought you to Good Shepherd?
Yeah, so Jewel and I've moved to like a few different cities, and I think each time we go to a new city, it's like the church hopping nightmare.
The never ending,
Well, it's like what fits the actual box that works for both of us. We both come from like fairly similar traditions, and like kind of we have a Venn diagram of like we overlap on like a very small box. It seems like, and at some level of like we like traditional like liturgy in it.
Yeah.
Just some churches are kind of just throw out just random speeches, and you're like, I don't understand what happened here.
What's the connection from A to B?
And then like the super conservative, like back to Texan roots, like doesn't really fit us anymore. And so when we came to New York, we're like, okay, we're not going to play this shopping game. We might only be here for 2 years or a little less. It's like, let's get some recommendations from friends. Our pastor in Austin, I guess, had come up to Good Shepherd at one point, just suggested it. I tried a couple other from like friends who were in the city, and those were a little bit more on the like Texan leaning. There was, my friends who were here. I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah.
I'm not really signing up for like this exact replica of what I've seen growing up. Like women can't preach. I was like, that's not going to work for my wife coming in. And so we ended up going to Good Shepherd.
When you think about like what makes this church unique, what to you is that element that really keeps you coming back?
Yeah, I think a little bit it's like almost a presentation of the church too. I think I have not thought about this as much. I think it's probably just the beauty of the talent of New York. Yeah. If I hear Good Shepherd, it's like one, the music is just phenomenal. Like that being such a like integral part of the worship. Yeah. Like I've always thought it was important, but sometimes it's been a throwaway at other churches I've gone to, and it being kind of at the forefront, like, oh, this is a beautiful way to worship, and I'm starting to appreciate that. And then it really is kind of the community, once you start getting deeper into it, it's like extremely interesting people who all come from like very differing backgrounds that you really start to appreciate. It's like we're all here. We all kind of stumbled in too. I think your story, it's like there isn't like this 20-year history of this church, and people are constantly in and out, and like you get it when you're greeting. It's like so many people are new each Sunday. Yeah. And you can kind of feel the energy of people, kind of questioning, and Michael does a great job of like opening up to new people. Totally. Which
every Sunday it reminds me, I'm like, oh, yes, there's new people here.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. What for you kind of keeps you coming back?
From a spiritual aspect, like I am spoken to through music. So music is a really big aspect of it for me. The band is absolutely incredible, so talented, and it's, new songs, the way that they intertwine it into the service really makes it feel like I'm just at home. I listen to the services and to the music intertwined throughout the service while I'm home, like just in the background. That's my playlist, It makes me, fills me with joy. But outside of that, I think it's really like the relatable message, whether it's Michael speaking or we have a guest speaker coming in, every week there's a very clear message. It's integrated into, whether we're going through the Lenten season or, we're approaching, Christmas or what be it. Like, this community does a really great job of allowing you to feel connected to the moment, what's happening culturally, because a lot of churches try to keep that element out of the church. And that's one of, I think, the special elements is the incredible way that they're able to interweave the spiritual message with what's happening culturally, and recognize that everyone's coming from different backgrounds and it's relatable to everyone. It's not just me or, you. It's every single person in the church.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that we're just older and now we're peers are running churches, and it's like, okay, let's just like you just be like, I feel like I always put my childhood self when I'm in the pew.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh wait, this church is your peers like actually talking about real things, what are happening outside these, you know, four walls, which you start really appreciating, because it's like, you know, what are we doing here? Like, this isn't like some pretense. We're actually showing up. We're going to talk about what happened in the world, and, you know, apply scripture to it, and like actually have like a moment with your community. I think New York is also extremely hard without some like reset.
Totally.
With any church, like for me personally, it's like if I don't have that, kind of week can be blown a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and it totally resets the tone for the week. It sets the stage for your mindset ahead, you know? I mean, it allows me to like gather my thoughts when I get there on Sunday, and I'm, you know, it's totally different, you know, listening. They do a really great job of, you know, capturing the essence of the church via, you know, if you're watching it on video at home, or you're not in New York, you know, you still get that feel, but there's just this amazing element of being in the church, in the space. I mean, you know, that to me is what's incredible about Good Shepherd. I'm interested to hear, Luke, from you on, you know, how this has had an impact on your life. Yeah,
I think being new to New York, and kind of as we talked about, just every Texan friend we had has jumped back home. And you come here and you realize, like, this is a city of, you know, 10 million people, and I know 4, right? And so you
know more than 4.
Yeah, I know, but just realistically. And so a little bit just immediate community, even not knowing anyone in the church. Like for the first 3 months, I was going, and a lot of times like by myself.
Yeah.
And then just as kind of a sense of like home and rhythm, and truly because it is 2 blocks away, and like walking by it, and, you know, seeing so many people in church now kind of outside the confines of church has just really kind of shaped my New York time, and really just been an impact of like, I don't know what to say, like mental health. Like the city kind of was, I looked at it, I was like, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Like this, I miss aspects of, you know, consistent community. What about for you kind of has been, you know, impactful about attending Good Shepherd?
Like we mentioned before, like I immediately got involved. I knew, you know, if I was going to start in a new community and like get back to where I was and how I felt in the previous communities that I was a part of, because those previous communities, you know, I was a part of those churches for 5 years, you know. It was a big part of my life, and so volunteering for me, I love giving back to the community. But what I think is so unique about Good Shepherd and why it's had such an impact on my life is it gives more back to me than I feel like I'm able to give to it. And, you know, part of that is from volunteering with the children's ministry. You know, honestly, I don't even do it enough. And on just the scarcity of the days that I'm able to, you know, be in New York and help out with Gabby and, you know, working with the children, being able to plant the seed at such an early age and know that I have an impact in the development of these kids is great. And I think, you know, to your point about community and finding that community, it's rare. You know, I've got a lot of friends in the city that aren't connected with the church, and I am trying in every way possible, even at work, going against the status quo, trying to plug in, create Slack channels to bring people together, you know, and share with them that there's ways outside of what your current routine is to get involved. Some of the things that I think Good Shepherd does so well truly is allowing that connection to happen and providing that, you know, communication. So via the newsletters that we get, like, how can you plug in, you know? And I did like a Wednesday session.
Wednesday session.
Wednesday session. It was like a month-long session, and I would come on Wednesdays, and honestly, I got so much fulfillment from sharing my story and connecting with people on a different level than just like on Sunday.
For sure.
So that to me is really what's been super impactful and how it's changed my life and the stage that I'm in New York.
What have you found? I feel like I always end up bringing people to Good Shepherd who are visiting.
Yeah.
And it's one of the rare churches where, because it's not like a lot of these people are visiting where I don't traditionally go to church.
Totally.
It's one of the rare places where it's like, it's actually totally, it's actually just a great time. Like in terms of,
it's like you're going to a concert.
Yeah, it's like that's like how I present it. Like it's a pretty good concert, and it's like a great message, and you're gonna feel great after. But it's rare that you can actually bring people to a church, and I mean, like I don't know, batting 10 of 10 of people like that was a great experience.
I literally have not. There hasn't been one person that I brought to Good Shepherd that left saying like, I never want to try that out again.
Yeah.
Seems like such a fun and interactive and great way to connect with like-minded people from all different backgrounds. Well, Luke, it's really been great talking with you today. I mean, we knew each other before, but now we know a little bit more about each other, what brought us to New York at least. Feel like now we've got to end this with dinner. With now we need a couple's date.
Yeah.